and welcome to another episode of Preacher Man TV. I am Pastor Jay. Well, today I just want to encourage you. I know that many of you listening to me right now are experiencing some unprecedented attacks of the enemy, from financial attacks and spiritual confusion, even demonic manifestations. It seems as if the kingdom of darkness has ramped up its effort to destroy the people of God in recent times. I want you to understand that these attacks of the enemy should not only strengthen your resolve to walk in the faith, but they should also provoke you to action, to adopt an offensive posture, if you will. This is not hard if you know the truth behind your attack. I recently preached a sermon at our church at Hope FLA, which spoke of an episode when Paul was shipwrecked at Melita, today known as Malta. He was a prisoner on that ship, and now he was on this island, having survived the storm and the shipwreck and the unforgiving seas. As he settled upon the shores of the island, him and the others began to build fires so that they could warm themselves, having, struggled in the waters for so long. He began to gather sticks in order to fuel the fire to generate the heat and consequent comfort which they so desperately craved. Now, Paul saw that there was a storm before the storm ever came. He also knew that the ship would be shipwrecked before it occurred. But what he did not know, that there was a snake amongst the sticks which he had gathered. The sticks are a picture of the things in our lives that we embrace to generate comfort. The Lord describes them as the cares of this life, things which so often seem non-threatening. Our jobs and our relationships, social media, movies, music, etc., etc. Just as with Paul, so often we miss that there may be a snake amongst the sticks. The snake not only represents the enemy, Satan and his demonic hordes, the snake is also a picture of sin. So often, sin and the temptation to err reside among the things we embrace for comfort. This is why we are encouraged in 1 Peter 5 and 8 to be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. The snake came out of the sticks when Paul threw the sticks into the fire. When we begin to walk in the fire of the Spirit of God, as in Acts 2, the snakes come out. When we give our lives in full submission to God, then we can see the sin and the enemy which so frequently try to beset us. The fire of the Holy Ghost will expose the hidden snakes in our lives. I believe that the closer we get to the last day revival as spoken of in the book of Joel, the more the snakes will come out from amongst the sticks to attack us, as it did Paul. This may be a very viable explanation for the attacks which you have been experiencing recently. The enemy does not want you to be close to Christ, and he will shamelessly attempt to stop you at any cost. The snake came out of the fire and fastened itself to Paul's hand. You should do as Paul did and just simply shake him off. But you can't just erratically shake off the enemy. You have to shake with intention. Acts 28 and 5, and he shook off the beast into the fire and felt no harm. The very thing that exposed the snake is the very thing that will lead to its demise, the fire of the Holy Ghost. If we erratically shake, seeking any and every avenue for reprieve, then the snake will repeatedly come back because it lives. We need to pass everything through the fire of God. The Bible tells us that the snake came out of the fire and fastened its fangs onto the hand of the man of God. This is a very telling thing. The snake did not attack his foot or his leg or his face. It attacked his hand. The enemy still employs this tactic to this day. How? It is with your hands you fight. The psalmist David declared in Psalms 144 and 1, "Blessed be the Lord, my strength, which teacheth my hands to war and my fingers to fight." The enemy will try to incapacitate your ability to retaliate, to fight. This is why so many people think that they cannot resist the enemy. Lust is too strong. Envy is too potent. I can't help myself. It is with your hands you work and accomplish. When the enemy attacks your hand, injecting his poisonous venom into your system, he is attempting to cripple your ability to do anything against him, to fight. If you allow this, soon that poison will corrupt the entirety of your being as it seizes control of all of your members. You are as good as dead. The Apostle Paul simply shook the snake into the fire and moved on. He did not utter a word. The people of the island, whom the writers described as barbarians, were speculative of Paul's ill fortune with the snake. Surely this man is a murderer, although he survived the seas. The snake has served justice. They were waiting for him to fall over and die. He didn't. For Paul, the snake was only a confirmation of the promise of Christ. You have to see your attack for what it is. The Lord declared in Mark 16, 17 and 18, "And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils. They shall speak with new tongues. They shall take up serpents. And if they drink any deadly thing, it shall not hurt them. They shall lay hands on the sick, and they shall recover." So Paul, raising the serpent and shaking it into the fire, was confirmation that he could take up serpents, as the Lord had said. If this part of the promise is true, then the healing part is true as well. And the casting out demons part is true as well. Somebody needs to get that. The venom of the dead snake had no power over Paul, the apostle. The people went from calling him a murderer and cursed to calling him a god. Still, Paul did not utter a single word. Think about it. Revival without the preacher preaching? Man, that's just crazy. Sometimes it's not about what you say, but the poisonous attack of the enemy that sets you apart. That is why we must thank God for all things, even the poisoned persecution. Paul was going to lead that island into revival, and to this point, the Bible does not record him saying a single word. Soon after, we find Paul laying hands and healing the father of the chief man on that island. He laid the same hand that the snake bit. They knew that this man was no ordinary man. How did they know this? By the snake, the venomous serpent among the sticks. When the man was healed, then all the people who were sick and diseased on that island came to Paul for healing, and they were healed. Listen, the attack that you are facing is not to kill your resolve and quell your revival. Your attack will not kill revival, it will cause it. Now think about that. I'm wading through this water, Lord, for better or for worse. In all my ways, I'm putting Jesus first, with love in every line, in every song, in every verse.